So how about that Gamers finale?
I don't want to talk about it.
What? You didn't like it?
Okay, so I do like the fact that it was like, out of all the decisions they could have made, it wasn't the worst one, but it wasn't great either. It didn't feel like a finale to me.
I think that's to its credit, but all right.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not like it's a bad thing. It's not the worst route they could have done. Like, I was afraid that they were going to do this thing where I was like, oh no, all 3 girls are in love with Amano-kun now. How will he solve this one? And then ended it like any other fucking shitty-ass, like, anime would have.
Trust gamers.
I do trust gamers, but I'm nervous about it. What about you, Alex?
Well, I thought that episode 11 kind of felt like the finale, so then I was like, well, where can they possibly go from here? And then the finale came out, and it was like, oh, so that's what they were going for. I'm okay with this.
It came out and it was shitpost DLC.
Yeah, he's got a point. It really is. Oh yeah, it's shitpost DLC. So maybe it's all just like a, what is it called? All self-aware, referencing itself, but using the name gamers as a reference. There we go.
Well, here's the way I saw it, is that the people who were in charge of making the anime told their story in 12 episodes. And then they're like, oh shit, we have this 13th episode that we have to work with. Let's just do something. So, like, instead of stretching their story past the point where it was supposed to end, they ended it at episode 11 or 12 or whichever. They ended it in the previous episode. And then they just tacked on this extra episode as, like, fan service or a reward for sitting through this ridiculous love pentagram.
There we go. It's like a free OVA.
Yeah,
basically.
It was an OVA.
Yeah.
It's
I can go behind that.
Day 1 DLC.
Day 1 DLC.
I had spent the whole episode just like, I was looking at this and I was like trying to parse the deep thematic like depth of this. I was like, okay, they're clearly going for something here, and I was like thinking, and then it just hit me. And I was like, oh my god, this show.
See, while I was watching through it, I was trying to relate all this dialogue about DLC and costumes and, like, games being too expensive to, like, make it a metaphor for the whole series to, like, wrap it up. But it just wasn't coming together as I watched this show.
Yeah, I was trying
And the more I
same
went through
thing.
the episode, the more I realized, like, they are just talking. They're just saying words.
I mean, there was one line of dialogue I thought was kind of interesting from Amano, where he had said, like, they were talking about, like, a bonus story or whatever, because, like, it was already concluded, and he was like, well, I don't think, like, I wouldn't want the characters in this game to go through more conflict just so I can have more story or whatever, and
yeah,
that seemed like a good summation of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel that.
Yeah, all the conflict is resolved, and these people get to go about their normal lives now.
So I'm guessing no season 2 then, huh?
I hope not.
Sucky. Yeah, I don't know what they would do with the season 2. Just because I feel like this show like was super strong, came out the gates on fire, and then it was just like it maintained it for a very long time, a lot longer than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
And then, you know, they didn't end it in the worst possible way, which was what I was kind of expecting of it.
Mm-hmm. No, they ended it in the last episode. Like, the series is like from episode 1 to the one before this one.
11.
Yeah, 11. I keep thinking it's a 13-episode series or whatever. But, yeah, the series is 11 episodes long. And then there's this 12th OVA thing that you can watch if you want.
Sweet deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. So you guys looking forward to the end of My Hero Academia?
Of course I'm not looking forward to it, you monster.
So sad. It's so good, but it's, you know, all good things must come to an end for the time being.
Not Hiroaka.
Well, Hiroaka's not done yet, though. Like, there's the last episode's tomorrow, but I'm sure they're gonna make a season 3. I don't see why they wouldn't.
You say you're sure. I mean, I'm sure too, but I've been sure about things and been wrong before. And everyone goes silent.
no one wanted to make a comment on that one. It was like,
well, I mean,
not wrong.
like,
anyway, continuing.
Like, there was supposed to be an Attack on Titan season 2, and how long did that take?
Please don't make reference to that. But okay, it's not like season 2; it's season 3. So they already churned this one out in a year.
Spice and Wolf season 3 when?
please, for the love of God, I would love a season 3 Spice and Wolf.
Mm.
No, but I think, I don't know. I love how it's ending. Like the last episode, I think it's gonna be identical to Gamers, where it's just more of like an OVA than like any conflict, because they really did wrap up My Hero Academia last episode.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know what could happen in the next episode, but I feel like they could set up the next season's conflict in the next episode.
Well, I think that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna like set up the next season's arc, and be like, "We'll see you in X days or a year and a half or whatever."
In a year and a half.
Almost to the day. They got it right, man.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Damn it, poopy butthole kund.
There we go. No, I really liked My Hero Academia. I don't know. Like,
Everyone really likes My Hero Academia.
I think all three of us have a special favor to pay towards My Hero Academia, since all three of our channels really boomed from that show.
Mm-hmm.
There's no denying it, so...
Well, it's like I said in one of those 2 episodes that never got released. That I'm sorry. It's like I said, one of those 2 days between classes that never like got released to the public eye. I don't know what the flavor of this podcast is, Matt. But yeah, it's like I said back then. Hero Ac is the new Sword Art Online when it comes to being a view magnet. So
yeah, it definitely is. I agree with that. But at the same time, it's not like I don't know. Like I could tell Sword Art Online was shit. Like when it first came out. Like I stopped watching it through like episode 15, I think. Whereas My Hero Academia season 2, like I have been like glued to the screen every single time it comes out. Like I just stay up till like 4 a.m. where I live and like watch the fucking next episode. Like it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. You know, just God, that show's so good.
It is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, I'm really excited for Bakugo to become an actual character instead of just anger on a like inhuman form.
Dude, I'm so happy Bakugo got some character development last episode.
Like the tiniest bit.
I think, you know what, I hate to say it, I love Bakugo. Imagine this show without Bakugo.
I mean, you're right.
It would be so
He definitely
boring.
adds a lot to the show. Somehow.
He's like the ultimate drama magnet. Like, he just creates so much shit wherever he goes.
I'm mad fucking calm.
I think the joke is that, you know, sure, he's an asshole and he's not the greatest person in the world, but in reality, he just has 0 social skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm thinking that's what the joke's gonna be. Because, like, you saw that in the episode where it was like, you have to fight All Might, and that's, like, what his, like, goal is. But then you find out, like, towards the end of the episode, it was like, bitch, you thought we could get out of here without fighting All Might? That was his reasoning behind it. Mm-hmm. He just had so little social skills that he just never actually conveyed that thought.
Yeah, I guess I see your point. I still think he's, like, a total ass factory, though.
Oh, absolutely. Like that's
completely
that's like
irredeemable. But no, I'm excited for him to actually become the character who gets #1 in Shonen Jump's popularity polls.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't get your hopes up.
Well, like he has gotten #1 in Shonen Jump's popularity polls.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
He's a very popular character.
Sweet deal.
And I'm sure there's a reason for that, but I have no idea what it is.
Maybe he just becomes more of an asshole.
Yeah, people like assholes that much.
Oh no.
Hashtag people like assholes.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Zoom.
I don't know. He's kind of shit. I still keep getting comments about how great he is. It really, like, kind of annoys me, but I'm sure I'll see why I'm wrong in the next season.
I mean, Bakugo will be the next #1 hero.
Well, of course he will. Deku definitely won't. We definitely haven't seen future Deku at the end of the second episode telling us that he's the #1 hero.
Dude, I have a whole theory on this on my channel. You should go check it out. It's pretty legit.
Okay, it's fine.
It's 10 out of 10. Like, I convinced myself while writing the script. It was good.
Okay, I love it when that
I
happens.
was originally writing the script. I was like, this will be clickbait bullshit that I can get views for. And then by the end of the script, I was like, I think I legitimately convinced myself. I'm like, I really do think Bakugo's gonna be the next #1 hero. Holy shit! Because I actually did research into the manga to make sure like I didn't fucking like miss some super huge thing, and I knew like all the arguments against it, and people kept making that, and I kept looking. I'm like, wait a second, and I would do a little bit more research and find out like, no, they're just fucking wrong. Like Bakugo really is just that good.
Well, nobody's doubting that he's good at what he does. He's just a dick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've never denied this fact.
Right. I mean, like, Endeavor's a dick, and he's the number 2 hero, so...
Yes, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any opinions on it leaving, Alex?
Other than, endless sorrow. Because, like, when the first season had came out, I intentionally avoided it for, like, 6 months because I knew I would love it. And then, sure enough, when I watched the first season, I was just enthralled with it. And then season 2 came out shortly after, and it was great, and now it's done. And it's going to be done, and I'm not going to have any more to watch, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my life.
It's not like Hunter x Hunter where there's 150 episodes being released. You get stuck with 24.
Well, like, what's going on next season that could, like, scratch the Hiroaka-ish itch?
Black
Are there any good
Clover?
shonen coming out, or?
That's a good question.
I know
There's a
that-
lot of good shows coming out next season.
Black Clover show? That's getting a lot of hype.
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
It's another shonen, and shonen is my thing, but I don't know. From what I've heard from it, it seems like I'm kind of iffy on whether I should be excited or not.
Kekai Sensen Season 2. Why is it under a vampire genre? There's no vampires. I mean, I think there is a vampire
There are in
in
Season
Kekai
2.
Sensen.
What?
But, like... like, that's not like a main plot element, if I remember correctly. Like, that's just, like,
It is
that's
in
guy
season
powers.
2.
I didn't know that vampire was a genre.
Me neither. But no, Kekai Sensen Season 2. Season 1 was super good. I don't know what they're going to do with Season 2, because they really wrapped Season 1 up, like, super well.
It's
So
interesting,
that should be
because
interesting.
apparently, like, the anime completely differentiates from the manga. But, like, I can't really... I don't know, that doesn't do much to defend my point, because I've never read the manga, but, like... I mean, just the fact that it's already, like, original material, and they're like, okay, let's do more. I'm really intrigued to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. Himoto Umaro-chan, I will shoot myself if
that's
I have
one
to
of my
watch
favorite shonen.
another.
That's totally going to fulfill the Hiroaka role.
Yeah, I think I'll jump off a
mean,
bridge
what
before
else
I watch
would?
that
Like-
episode.
Himoto Umaru kinda sounds like Hiroaka.
Kill me. Kill me.
There's a
I
new
fucking
Card
hate
Fight
that show.
Vanguard.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, I know we're all super excited about Card Fight Vanguard.
I have a friend who's super into that genre, though.
Yeah, well, like, I don't have any problems with the genre. It's just that the genre always sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, ever since original Yu-Gi-Oh! Ended, and original Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't even that great.
Mm-hmm.
Selector Wecross really scratched that itch. That show's not good either, but it was really entertaining.
Let's see.
But yeah,
Just
I really...
because. Ooh, that looks neat. Have you
Yeah,
guys...
that's one that I've been looking forward to. Like, I don't know if the listeners know this, but I don't read any series descriptions before I watch anime, so I have no idea what Just Because is about. But the aesthetic looks cool.
Well, the aesthetic, and you know who's done by?
No.
Same studios, Gamers.
Perfect.
So it looks... It's going to be interesting to see if Gamers can pull 2 out of 2. Because they're a super new studio, if you don't know. Studio Pine Jam. And they've only, like, released 3 shows, I think, and one of them being Gamers. And the other 2 have just flopped, like, hard. They were, like, shit or something like that. So it'll be interesting. This one looks good. So this will be kind of a taste of see if, like, Pine Jam's one of the new up-and-coming studios, or if they're just going to fall apart.
Well, like, it looks very pretty. And just from the poster, it seems like something that I'd be interested in watching. But we'll see.
March comes in like a lion season 2, Alex.
Whoa! I'm excited.
I'm hyped. I'm so hyped.
That's
I
like
need
the
to watch-
only...
The first Sangatsu.
It's good.
It's really,
Yeah,
really
that doesn't-
good.
Well, I've heard it's good. Why is it good? What's good
It's
about
such-
it?
It's such a... Have you watched Welcome to NHK yet?
No.
Okay, it's like a show that really balances depression with like happier scenes, and it goes back and forth into like this weird like state where he'll get really depressed for like 6 or 8 episodes, and it's just gorgeous. It is so pretty. You
It's
can't
produced
help but love
by
this show.
Shaft, and it's got all the what's the word I'm looking for? It's got all the inventive like art design, and there's a lot of good shot composition, and it's got a good balance of bathos. Like, it does that tone shifting thing, but it serves a purpose to the narrative, which is it's a good purpose. It's a good narrative.
It's a very good narrative.
Well, I'm convinced.
It's kind of like Madoka Magica, except not like blood everywhere.
It's kind of like Madoka Magica, except not Madoka Magica.
Not Madoka Magica.
Except in all the ways that it's not like Madoka Magica.
Well, it's just like the themes. Like, the themes twist. Like, that's the thing that turned me off about it when I first watched it, is I watched the first episode, and it was a super dark, depressing episode, and then it ends on this super high note. And you're like, the fuck? I was like, oh, it's going to be some bullshit, like, super happy upbeat show. And I dropped it for like a week, and I came back to it. I was like, let me just try to watch the next couple episodes. And then it was like, oh, okay, I get where this is going.
That's better than me, where I dropped it for like
happy.
6 months after the first episode, and then realized I was wrong, and then revisited it.
There you go. I guess great minds think alike.
Okay, so just from doing my little bit of research here, it's about this guy who's super depressed, and in order to get out of his depression, he makes a contract with a lion to become a magical girl.
Yes. That is exactly the storyline. God damn, that's amazing. Well done. Master of deduction here.
Yeah.
Honestly, this show is like the only saving grace for the summer season ending. Like, I had no reason to look forward to the end of this season because of Hiroaka, but at least I have Sangatsu.
Well, I mean, honestly, this season looks like lit. Like, it looks really good. Like, as I was kind of going through a lot of these shows look like original IPs that people are trying to push. And generally, fall and winter are the two strongest seasons of the year. So this might be a legitimately really good season. So I'm kind of happy about it. There's a lot of shows that I want to watch.
Well, there's a new season of Shokugeki, which people love.
I don't like it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Neither have I.
Yeah, I won't know if any of these shows are good or not before I watch the first episodes. So
yeah, I mean, same
I
thing.
I don't feel comfortable commenting, but
Fair
I'm
enough.
not as excited as you seem to be, because just none of this really seems like it's gonna capture me in the way that like 5 shows from last season did, or this season.
Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like... So, okay, how about this? Overall thoughts on this season, though. This season we're leaving right now.
Surprisingly good.
Yeah,
I think this season's a really weird season because it started off super weak. Like, only having, like, My Hero Academia come out. And even the first episode of Gamers wasn't great. But
I loved it,
after
but
that,
yeah, you're right.
like, towards the end of the season, as it's coming down, like, I started only watching, like, 1 or 2 shows, and, like, now that the season's coming to an end, I'm, like, up to 6 or 7. Like, this season had a lot of, like, slow-moving shows, but they all turned out pretty great. So I was impressed by this season. I thought it was going to be shit. Like, it really seemed like it was going to be shit at first. That was the joke everyone was making when the season was coming out. It was like,
Well,
wow,
and
like,
can you really blame them? Because, like, what did we get this season? We got, like, 80% mediocrity, which is every season, because that's the definition of mediocrity. Hajimete no Gal, Tenshi no 3P, which were just garbage. Morally disgusting garbage. And then, like, you're right, all the shows that became good started slowly. Like Gamers, Made in Abyss started really, really strong.
I was about to say, Made in Abyss is the opposite.
Made in Abyss started strong and kind of went downhill a bit. What was the other show I was thinking of? Isekai Shokudo. Mahojin Guru Guru nobody watched, but it was really good too.
Did you ever get around to watching Kakegurui?
No, I watched the first episode and wasn't interested. Like, it just doesn't seem... First of all, the aesthetics, they bother me. Which isn't a strike against the show, it's just my personal taste. I thought it was ugly as hell. Second, I didn't find any of the characters that we met in the first episode all that interesting. and I would have to watch more of the show to say that this is like a problem with the show, but none of them really appealed to me. The gambling aspect was really toothless, and I hear that doesn't get better. So, I don't know. I hear it's good if you like shows about crazy people being crazy to each other. But, like, I was already watching Gamers.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was also, like, Surezure Children, which I need to get back to, which was, like, from the first episode, super cute.
Actually, I actually have a very strong opinion about that show, but I want to get back to that after Alex gives us his opinion on the season.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I liked that show. It was a good one. Gamers was fun. But, like, I feel like I missed out on some of the big... I don't know, like, some of the shows that I was really looking forward to, like Made in Abyss and Welcome to the Ballroom, both, like, they both looked cool, but Amazon Anime Strike, so I didn't end up watching them, at least not yet. So I kind of missed out on that, although they seemed like they'd be cool. But then, even despite that, like, Gamers was cool. You had the leftover sequels like Sakura Quest and My Hero Academia. I think this season was overall pretty solid, but I don't know. I never really had that opinion of, like, it sucked to begin with, just because I don't really get into pre-season hype. Like, I don't look at all the titles and see, oh, well, this looks like it's going to be cool. Like, I kind of just wait until the episodes are out, and then if something, like, if the artwork looks interesting or whatever, I'll check it out. But, yeah, I mean, I don't really have many complaints. I didn't complete any shows this season that I thought were terrible. The only one that I kind of tried was Hajimete no Gal. I mean, I gave The Reflection an episode, and it just clearly wasn't my aesthetic.
The Reflection just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Or at least that episode wasn't good.
What, Hajimate? Wait.
The Reflection.
Oh, The Reflection? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about Hajimate no Gal still. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Of course Hajimete no Gal wasn't good.
But yeah, like, I liked this season, but I wouldn't say that I had a super strong opinion on it, because, like, this season didn't have a show for me, like, I really enjoyed Gamers, but it didn't, I don't know, like, I guess Sakura Quest really struck me, but that was kind of a leftover from spring, so I don't know if you could really call that a part of summer. But, like, in the spring season, I had Ski ga Kirei, which just hooked me for the entire... From episode 1 all the way through, I was following it weekly, and I was really hype on that show. Gamers was fun, but I guess it didn't strike that emotional chord with me that kind of would keep a show like that memorable. I don't know, maybe that's just because I don't have as high of an affinity for comedies, but... I mean, the season wasn't bad. I thought it was pretty solid, just, I guess, not super standout.
Well, personally, Gamers and Steins Gate are the only two shows that I've ever rated a 9 out of 10 on Mal. So, I think Gamers is way, way up there. But
I'm kind of surprised you have such a high opinion. Like, I love Gamers, don't get me wrong, but I don't think Gamers is, like, god tier. I don't think it's, like, the best anime I've seen this season. I mean, okay, that's hard to say. I feel like my biggest problem with Gamers is the art style. Do you guys have that same issue also?
I like the art.
I know it's kind of, I guess, generic sort of looking, but I never really had a problem with that. Like, I felt it kind of was part of the show, was that, like, it played into all these typical rom-com tropes, but then it just blew them out of proportion, and I kind of thought the aesthetic kind of went with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that, but at the same time, I feel like that the art style itself has handicapped the show from ever becoming, like, one of the top rom-coms out there. Because it's so generic that, like, I mean, I get the idea that they're trying to go for the generic look, and it's like, oh, look, all these characters are generic rom-com tropes, so they can get you in for the jokes, and they really care about making you laugh, which is, I guess, super important. But at the same time, I feel like they could have changed at least a little something about the art style to make the show stand out. Because now that the season's over, I guarantee you within a year, people are gonna kind of forget about it. Like even Konosuba was had a weird kind of look to it. Like they did like those crazy over the top faces and like the weird pause thing, just to kind of get them a little distance from the genre they were mocking before they even mocked it. Just so it would be like, oh yeah, it's Konosuba. You can look at the art style and be like, oh yeah, that's Konosuba. Whereas gamers, it's so generic. It's so like cookie cutter that's like, if you put a Monokun next to Kirito and 16 other shonen protagonists, you'd be like, which one was he again? You know, I don't know. I feel like for that reason, I mean, I enjoyed this show heavily, and I think it definitely helped the narrative, but it also, I think, hurts it time-wise. In the fact that I think within a year, it'll be forgotten about.
All right. Well, I think a lot of things are forgotten about, despite being incredibly good, and that doesn't mean that they made bad choices. Because, like, the thing that you said about Amano, like, putting him up next to, like, Kirito and all the other light novel-kun guys, I think that's to his credit, because that's the whole point of Amano's character. He's a stupid, average dweeb who doesn't have any outstanding features.
And even, like, the stuff that he's passionate about, like, he's not really good at it. Like, he's not a hardcore gamer. I mean, he's a hardcore gamer, but he's not a pro gamer. Like, he sucks.
No, I agree with you guys completely. I think overall, like, as a creative decision, it was better. But I like, there's a part of me that's still like, God, I just hope I don't forget about this show, you know, because I'm trying to like break it into my head as much as possible, because I feel like it's a good show to watch and remember and like just kind of laugh, so you can laugh at all the tropes. But it's definitely not a very good like early show to somebody, because it doesn't have many of the tropes, because you don't have the tropes established in your own head by that time.
I guess.
Like after you get all the tropes in, it makes more sense and it's funnier. But I don't know. I just like shows to be remembered. I just like to be like, whenever I'm next, like in a year from now, when I'm talking about rom-coms, to be able to like, oh yeah, have you guys seen Gamers? I know it looks super generic, it looks super boring, but it's actually great.
Well, I'm not sure I agree that the art style is super generic. I know what you're saying, and God, this is a weird sentence. I agree with what you're saying, but I think that there's more to it than that. All right.
Go for it.
Because they do have some pretty cool visual effects going on, at least in the first few episodes. Like, the one that I'm thinking of is the cool, like, blue and pink filter overlay when they do the flash forward at the beginning of the first episode.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So there are a few cool tricks like that. But, I mean, you're right. Obviously, it's that same super polished A1 Pictures style.
Exactly. So. Anyway, speaking of lesser-known shows, what is your favorite lesser-known show of this season? Because we were all talking about how most of the good shows this season aren't quite, like, at the top of the list. So what's your favorite lesser-known show? Well,
I know Explanation Point brought up Mahojin Guru Guru earlier, which that's a really fun like adventure comedy, and the pacing is so breakneck that like there was an original anime that aired back in the 90s, and it tried to like that anime played it out as more of like a long-running shonen type thing. Like it had all the filler and whatnot, just really stretching it out as much as they could. Whereas this episode, from what I've heard, like the pacing, it just blows through everything. Like the first episode of that series covers like the first chapter of the manga or whatever, whereas this series covers like 4 chapters in one. My friend Second Look made a video about it, and it's just really fascinating that, like from a creative standpoint, how it just kind of condenses everything in like into the most compact project possible, while at the same time also being hilarious. And even if some jokes fall flat, it's throwing so much at you that if one joke misses, something else is bound to get you. And the characters are really endearing. The main like romance they've got going is really fun. It's got like that the protagonists, they're like childish, but they're like an endearing childish. They're not like,
Well,
I guess, annoying. I don't
they're
know.
children.
Well, yeah. It's just really, I don't know, it's a fun cast, and the animation is really good because it's got like a retro aesthetic, but it's just movement everywhere. It's amazing.
Yeah, that
And it
show's
has, like,
adorable.
It has like less than 10,000 viewers or whatever on Mal, and that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
And didn't Anime Strike pick it up too? Or is that one actually on Crunchyroll?
Yeah, Crunchyroll has that one.
Okay, well, nobody watches it anyway. But yeah, it's a real shame because that show, like, in addition to being adorable and hilarious, I feel like it's got some meat to it too. Just being able to dig into just the plot and characters. I feel like there's a lot going on. I haven't seen much of it, but it's pretty fantastically done.
Yeah, it definitely gets better as it goes along. Like, I've seen about half of the show at this point, or at least, like, it's 2 core, so it's going to continue into the next season, which makes next season even better. But yeah, it definitely, like, the cast, it definitely I don't know, I'm saying a lot of generic things, but it definitely does maintain like that consistent quality characterization throughout. Also,
that sounds fantastic to me.
I also recently finished Sakura Quest, like I mentioned earlier, and it has, like, it's more popular than Guru Guru, but it still has, like, less than 70,000, which I feel it deserves more than that, because I know people kind of compared it as, like, it's the Shirobako 2.0, but in a lot of ways, I think it's better than Shirobako. Like, it's not about anime, but the cast, I think, is more, it's, like, better fleshed out, and it explores, like, some really compelling themes about, like, being a young adult and kind of just, like, that aimless state of life where you're kind of trying to figure out what you want to do, and it shows, like, how even if you, like, don't have an ambition, you can still bring something that you enjoy to what it is that you do. And the premise it starts with of, like, reviving this town, it's a lot more flexible, in that, like, the characters can kind of do whatever. And because it's focusing on, like, a really small town, it has this real, like, close-knit community feel to it. Like, the supporting cast, like, I don't know, for a supporting cast, it's really strong. Like, a lot of the characters, sometimes they get their own episodes dedicated to them. It's just, it really feels like a community. It's a lovely, fun, I can't think of the other word I was looking for, but it's an entertaining watch. And it's, like, if I had to say, the second half, I think, was stronger than the first, and that technically aired this season, so best anime of this season. There we go.
All right. You convinced me. I'm going to watch that now. I actually haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I haven't watched too many, like, cute girl style shows, and I hear that, like, Shirobako and Sakura Quest are, like, basically the best of that niche of that genre. So
Definitely.
I mean, you got K-On! too.
right,
K-On's
but that's not the same kind of show as Sakura Quest and
Yeah, it's
Shirobako.
different.
Yeah, because K-On! Is, like, high school.
My underrated show of the season, although it's not really underrated, I guess, because it's kind of up there, is Classroom of the Elite. Have you guys seen that?
Really?
Oh.
Yes.
All right.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen the first 3 episodes, and I'll hear you out.
Okay. So here's the thing. So I won't deny Classroom of the Elite has a lot of problems. Like, it's definitely not the greatest show ever written, but what the kind of feel that they're going for is this kind of, like, mythical, like, otherworldly feel. And for me, like, when I started watching this show, I was like, all right, let's see how many episodes it lasts. How many episodes can they hold on to this balance? And I'm on episode 11 right now, and they still have this balance struck. It's one of these shows that's, like, really kind of hypnotic in a sense that it just pulls you in, and it just kind of messes with your head slightly. Nothing great ever happens. Nothing like, ooh, mind-blowing, like the world explodes or anything. Because I think it's supposed to be a escapism fantasy. Like, I think that's what it's going for. And so far, like, it has accomplished those goals incredibly well. Like, the main protagonist is obviously a character that you're supposed to, like put yourself on. He's a, what's the name of the characters?
Oh, I don't know. He has some kind of stupidly long name.
Well, no, not the names. I'm just talking about like there's a specific name for a character that you put yourself, like you imagine
Gary
yourself.
Stu.
Yeah, well, basically he's that kind of character, but it's like it's written in a way that he's OP, but not in like a oh he's OP because he knows everything. He's OP for like some obscure reasons that are basically easy enough for us to put ourselves into him as a viewer. It's an interesting twist. Like I really do enjoy how they kind of micromanage him as a character, but don't abuse him ever. Like he's obviously can do all these crazy things and ridiculous powers, but he's always like, nope, not gonna do it. Fuck that shit. I don't want to do that shit. Like that's just not. That will affect the storyline because he's basically the viewer who's watching the show, where they can know what's going on, know how to solve the problem, but at the same time they just don't do it because obviously we can't fucking affect the world. But I don't know. It's a really well written show that has done an incredible job at like maintaining this mythic feel to it, this otherworldly feel to it, and for that I'm really impressed by. It's like watching any of the Montagari series except with less dialogue. So that's why it sold me. It's like, wow, this is like really kind of pretty. I love the art style, by the way. I'm in love with it.
The art style is really nice.
Yeah, and then just like the way they handle the characters and the interactions. Like there's obviously some times where they overstep their boundaries, but they never go so far as to ruin the illusion. Which is what honestly is just impressive in itself. Because most shows like that, like 3 episodes, they're done. Like they fuck something up, they ruin the illusion, you know, and then it's over. But this show, like they've almost made it through the entire first season without fucking it up, and I'm really impressed by it.
Alex,
go ahead and shoot me down.
Yeah, Alex, do you have anything to add first before I pounce on this?
I haven't seen this show. I've only heard about it, and it seems, well, I mean,
It is, just from what I've seen of it. Matt, you've seen more of it than me, and if you like it, more power to you. But one thing I will say that I really liked about it, like you talked about the sense of atmosphere that it makes, and the thing that drew me to the show and like the thing that made me give it a 3-episode test was that like it really seemed like it had something to say, and like the way it was able to, I don't know, present this kind of interesting setting with a classroom full of like really douchey elitist people. Like, when I was talking about this on the Weebcast, I called it the Thomas Hobbes School for Douchebags, where, like, everybody's out for themselves, trying to, like, get the best deal for themselves that they possibly can. And what I was looking forward to after that bus scene in the first episode was a show that explored this idea of individualism and, like, what it would mean if everybody really only did what was good for themselves. And what I was expecting was that this school would be like themed around that idea of individual benefit, and really like digging into that idea. But instead, it's just a bunch of French and German philosophy quotes in the OP. Like every episode is titled like some stupidly long, overly pretentious quote, like that vaguely relates to the episode. It just... The show is trying to be smarter than it is.
I won't disagree with you there.
Yeah,
you're totally right.
Like
I said,
like
I'm not defending it as a perfect show.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, if that doesn't bother you as much as it bothered me, that's fine. But like that's why I couldn't really get into it. It's like it just had me sitting back in my chair, like, okay, fine. Nietzsche was a smart dude. I get it. But.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. See, that's why I haven't like recommended this show in particular to anyone, because the reason why I like this show is because of personal preference. I like shows that go after one like aspect of filmmaking or the film medium, and then like try to master it. And that's exactly what this show is. They're trying to master atmosphere, and like to me, I love it when a show tries that kind of crazy shit, and that's all it is. Like I'm not invested in the characters. If one of the main characters was killed off, I'd be like, well, okay. Whoop-de-doo. Like, you know, I'm not invested in this show. But I'm really invested in seeing how long they can maintain this atmosphere and how they can evolve it and how they can create drama inside of this really cool, well, I hate saying it a third time, but atmosphere they've made.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, like I said, I definitely see what you're getting at there, because the show feels interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like that feeling is a lie. Like, if you dig into it, it's like, okay.
Very well, then.
But no, I see what you like about it.
Well, I'm glad we can agree to disagree then.
Well, fine. Like, I'm glad that you're my friend then. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, what your turn.
My turn. Isekai Shokudo.
Isekai Shokudo.
Yeah,
Which one is
restaurant
that
to
again?
another world.
Ooh, I have opinions about this one too. Go ahead.
It's fantasy bartender. So for those of you who aren't familiar, it's this show about a restaurant that exists in a space between our world and another world, a fantasy world. And basically every Saturday, I think, these doors appear in the fantasy world, and people from the fantasy world come to eat at this delicious restaurant. And it's just like these people interacting with each other, telling their stories, and it's just really relaxing and beautiful with a great soundtrack, really good art, just really like good, happy character interactions, and it's positive in a way that I feel like a lot of other shows, at least this season, aren't. Like, we have shows that are optimistic, like Hiroaka, and, Hiroaka, Ballroom Eiyokso, Gamers.
Hiroaka also.
Yeah, like Hiroaka fits in there, but Isekai Shokudo is just really calm and happy. And I don't know, I like it a lot, and that's usually not my kind of show either, so...
All right, Alex, anything?
I mean, I haven't seen this one either, so
You haven't watched this? Okay.
I don't have much input.
Well, so I've watched the first 4 episodes of this.
Hey, same here.
And for me, it's the exact same thing as Classroom of the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating this theme, this atmosphere, and nothing else. Like, that's what they're strictly focusing on. And that's why,
basically.
I mean, I like the show too. Like, I was just gonna agree with you on it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I find it weird that you're willing to accept all of this show's flaws, but not Classroom of the Elites. Is it because Classroom of the Elite is pretentious in a way?
Basically, I mean, like, I'm a pretentious dude myself, so when I see something else trying to out-pretentious me, I just get kind of defensive and territorial.
Oh, okay.
So Classroom of the Elite just, like, points out things about myself that I don't like to look at, so I don't want to watch it.
You're an elitist.
But Isekai Shokudo, all these characters, like, that's one thing that I feel like it does well, too, is that the characters are actually interesting in their own right. Plus, it has really good music. Like, plus, the art is very pretty. Like, it's not just the atmosphere that Isekai Shokudo is going for.
You just listed 3 things that were also great in Classroom of the Elite, though.
I mean,
music,
shut up.
Have you listened
How
to the
about shut up?
soundtrack of the Classroom of the Elite?
I
and
haven't.
The art style
I don't
is
remember.
also gorgeous.
The
You
art
already
style's
agreed.
okay, but it's not as good as Isekai Shokudo's. I mean, like, I like looking at Classroom of the Elite. It has good art. But, like, the characters and the character interactions are what get to me in Classroom of the Elite. Because, first of all the characters are so generic. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but, like, they don't interact in interesting ways either. It's just like, I don't know, I'm better than you because of such and such a thing, and then the girl is like, but, like, I don't want to interact with other people for personal reasons, just like every other dark-haired female protagonist in an anime. And the guy is all like, whatever, I'm a light novel protagonist. You can do what you want, I don't care. But I'm still inexplicably going to try to befriend you, even though it's not in my character. And then the peppy blonde girl is like, I'm a peppy blonde girl who likes everyone. And then later she's like, also, I'll tell everyone that you raped me. It's like, wait, what? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that seems to be a common theme in Classroom of the Elite. It's like, oh yeah, I'm super nice and upfront. And then, like, next episode, just kidding, I'm trying to kill you.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's like that one quote from that one philosopher who said that there is a duplicity of man, where everyone is secretly putting on a show for everyone else, but they're actually stupid, evil, and selfish.
Dude, got it.
Just like the title of the episode said. I don't know. I'm mostly picking on you at this point, but like,
No,
I just couldn't get into that show.
I've already explained why I'm into it, and it's not for the characters, it's not for the interactions.
See, the characters and interactions are what I go for in a show. So, Classroom of the Elite just didn't hit me right.
No, and I agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I like I said, I'm generally the same way. But like you said with your pick, this was an unusual show for me that I kind of went for anyway.
Yeah. Anything else? Shoukoku no Altair is another one that I watched the first episode and I liked it, but I didn't see anything else past that.
Which one was that?
Yeah, I haven't. It's like the Turkish fantasy story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I've only seen the first episode of this, but it seems cool. Just like a really decently like written adventure action fantasy story in a cool setting. The protagonist is... It's interesting because he's a child trying to act like an adult, and those are characters that we don't get too often, and we don't get done well very often either.
I don't know. Have you seen the Boss Baby movie?
Not more than 7 times. But yeah, we get to see Altair navigate his position as a psha with trying to prove himself that he can do what's required of him in his position while trying to avoid war with the neighboring kingdom, which is difficult because he has to convince everyone to listen to him even though he's like 12. So it has some really cool elements. I'm worried about the pacing because that was a little bit weird in the first episode, but I think it's worth giving a shot if people are into that kind of story.
Oh, so Alex, you said something about a centaur's life the other day. Are you watching that show?
No, I don't. Did I say something about that? I haven't seen it. I know like nothing about the show.
Okay, 'cause I know someone... Was it you then?
It might have been me. I talked about it before.
I tried watching that show, and I got about 30... I think it was exactly 28 seconds into the show.
Yeah.
And then I just closed my web browser.
I don't blame you.
And I was just
I gave it 2 episodes.
I just watched.
No, it's a bad cute girls show pretending to be high school level social commentary, pretending to be a bad cute girls show.
It's so bad. I'm
It's
really
not
happy. I was just
so bad. It's just not good.
I was checking it out on my anime list just the other day, just to see, and it's at 34,000 people, which is like really low. So I'm glad to see that it's doing so badly.
Yeah, it's not a good show.
It brings hope in me that people aren't really into this fetish anymore. I'm glad it's starting to fucking die down after Monster Musume.
I don't think the Monster Girls aspect of it was why it was bad. They just didn't do anything. I can't even say they didn't do anything. They tried to do the whole political correctness gone mad thing. They just didn't do it well.
I mean, that actually does sound like an interesting concept.
I know,
but
right?
I don't want the main character to be a centaur.
That's racist. I'm sorry.
That's so nasty.
Alex, are you hearing this?
I am hearing this.
I feel like I'm being discriminated against.
You're being discriminated against for being a
shameless
racist?
America.
I'm sorry?
Shameless America.
Hashtag make America racist again. What?
There we go.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about from this season before the next class starts?
Oh, one other thing. Was it Suzerain Children? So this was something I wanted to bring back.
Yeah, you did mention that.
I like this show. I've watched it, but I hate this genre. This thing. Where it's these half episodes for like 8 episodes. I think it's like one of the fucking shittiest things to do to an anime. And it makes me really angry. Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, you should watch, what was it, like, I Can't Understand My Husband, or a few other of these shows. And I've actively made it my goal to never watch these shows. Because I don't want to like give in to these shows because I'm afraid that they might become the new norm.
I guess that's fair, but I feel like this kind of format works for a show like Tsurezure Children.
Yeah, well, that's the only reason I watched it, is because I watched it just to see, like because the hype around it was pretty high, and the fast-paced like movement of it definitely worked with Tsurezure Children.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's a really good way to ruin a decent show, is to like get the manga adapted to anime, only to put it into like one of these 12 episodes or 6 episode blocks. I feel like you just ruin it.
I don't know. I feel like if the show was longer, it would have been more difficult for me to get invested in it. Because, like, the way it jumps around between the pairs, like, everything feels... Like, it doesn't feel slow. Like, when one pair is done, then they jump to another one. They don't... I mean, everything is, like, the interaction's very concise. And then by the time the 12 episodes... Or, not 12 episodes. I mean, it had 12 episodes. But by the time the 12 minutes are up, I feel like... It's not one of those shows that I look to like get invested in a plot or like I don't know. It was one of those shows that like I could watch and be entertained by, but I never saw it as one of those shows that would like resonate with me for it wouldn't stick with me, and I think that's kind of just the nature of the story rather than the length.
Well, here's my thing. So, Tsurezure Children... Okay. So, before we started doing... what was it, like 10 years ago in anime? The average anime length was 24 episodes. But then shows started doing these 12-episode things, and that became the norm. Which I think is fine. I think it's a fair trade, because I think 12-episode anime really do work well. And I think that's not a bad trade-off. But I'm afraid that these shows that are slowly making their way in... like these 6-minute, 12-episode long shows, 12-minute, 12-episode long shows, are just going too far. I think that's where it starts to get to the point where, like, Tsurezure Children's an exception, because I think it fits that format, and that's why it was picked for this, to be like one of the first ones. But I'm afraid they're going to take a legitimately good show soon enough, a good story, adapt it to this, and make it acceptable. And then that's going to start becoming the new norm. That's my biggest fear with this whole thing. So that's why I try my hardest to stay away from watching those short form shows, because I feel like by watching them and talking about them, like we're doing right now, it gives them more prevalence in the industry and starts to make more and more shows. For instance, how many like 12 episode shows do you think would have been better off being 24 episode shows? You know,
I mean, like,
I think it hurts.
I don't know. There are some that are like that, but I don't like. I wouldn't see this becoming like the norm. Like if a show was going to, I don't know. I think it's just like the nature of the runtime. Like, how exact? I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but I don't. Like I wouldn't see someone taking like. I don't know, I'm just going to use Black Clover as an example, this like long-running shonen series, and then like crunching it down into little 12-minute chunks. Like there are certain shows that work this way that I don't think could be like a longer episode count or longer episode length, but like I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but I just don't see many shows even fitting into this format that someone would try to like cram it in there.
I don't know. Have you seen anything done by PA Works? They do this fucking thing where they like 10 episodes of an absolutely excellent anime, and then like 11, 12, it's like, oh fuck, we gotta end it. It's pretty fantastic.
I don't know. I feel like writing off any kind of formatting decision is just unnecessarily restrictive. Because, yeah, if they tried to do everything this way, then it wouldn't work for most things. But if they tried to do everything as, like, a 50,000 episode long epic, like Gintama, then it wouldn't work for most things either.
Well, I don't know. I'm sure I'm just being overly paranoid. Because, like, you know, once again, like, episodes are 22 minutes long for a reason, so they can fit in half-hour blocks.
Yeah.
But, you know, I get nervous with these things, and I like to try to stop them early. Like whenever I see something
change.
kind of happening, it's like, like, I mean, I do like change in the anime industry, but not in that direction.
Matt's afraid of change.
I'm afraid of change.
He hates it when things change.
I hope Obama. No, please. That's not even a joke. I'm gonna make.
What?
Don't go there.
I'm not gonna. I stopped myself before I went there. I love Obama. We all miss him. Obama, come back, please. We miss you.
Baby, come back. Obama, come back.
There we go.
On that note. Mm-hmm.
You were saying on that note, so you have to finish the statement, sir.
On that note, are we done?
Yeah, I guess we should probably go back to class now.
Yeah, right. We're in the hallway. We're going to class. On that note,
always breaking the fourth wall. Class has started 45 minutes ago. We better get fucking going.
Well, this was my favorite period, the anime discussion period.
The anime discussion period. Until next time, guys.
Yep, this has been Explanation Point.
Manime Matt.
And other guy who's also here.
See you guys around.
Bye.